This video is brought to you by Kapara Productions. Let's begin. In this tutorial, you will learn all there is to know about the usage of the words Yesh and Eyn in their past and future forms. This video is the second and last segment out of 2, meant for advanced Hebrew students. The beginner students amongst you will benefit from the first video of this tutorial, which focuses on the present forms of Yesh and Eyn. I'll leave a link for that in the description. So, how do we conjugate Yesh and Eyn? As you recall from the previous video, Yesh literally means there is or there are, while Eyn means there isn't or there aren't. However, as opposed to the present forms, in both the past and the future, we will have to conjugate them according to gender and quantity of the noun they are referring to. Let's start off with the past forms, and then we'll look at the future forms. Before we begin, please notice that the words Yesh and Eyn are altered to other words in the past and in the future forms. Haya or Haita. We will use one of these when we're referring to a singular noun in the past. Please remember to adjust it according to the gender of the noun. Haya for a masculine noun, Haita for a feminine noun. Hayu. We will use hayu when referring to multiple nouns. Here, you don't have to adjust hayu to the gender, as it covers both masculine and feminine nouns. When you'd want to use the negative forms, simply add the word lo to all the above. Lo haya, lo haita, lo hayu. Let's look at some examples. Haya kan bait. There was a house here. Please notice how bait is a masculine noun, therefore I'm using haya. Ima shelcha lo הייתה במשרד אתמול. Your mom wasn't in the office yesterday. Notice how I added the word lo to change the meaning from was to wasn't, and how I adjusted haya to haita since I was referring to a woman. אילן ותמר היו בחופשה בחו"ל. Ilan and Tamar were on a vacation abroad. Notice how I used hayu to indicate plural nouns, but I didn't have to adjust it to any specific gender, as it covers both. Now, let's move on to the future forms of Yesh and Eyn. Yihye or Tihye. As before, in the singular form, we will have to adjust the word according to the gender of the noun. Yihye for masculine nouns, Tihye for feminine nouns. Yihiyu or Tihyena. Please notice that in modern Hebrew, the future feminine form has become obsolete, and the vast majority of Israelis have stopped using it, aside from the older generation and certain Hebrew teachers. Therefore, it is best if you stick with Yihiyu, both for masculine and the feminine nouns in the future form. As in the past forms, when you need to construct a negative form, simply add the word lo. Let's review a few examples. הוא יהיה בלונדון בשבוע הבא. He will be in London next week. Notice how I used יהיה as I'm speaking about a man. היא לא תהיה בפגישה. She will not be at the meeting. Notice how I used תהיה, as here I'm speaking about a woman. הבנות לא יהיו במסיבה. The girls won't be at the party. Notice how I used yihiyu and not tihyena, as nearly every Israeli would do today, even though I was speaking about girls. Now, Let's move on to Yesh and Eyn's cousins, Yesh li and Eyn li, meaning I have and I don't have, but now in the past and future forms. This is where things get slightly complicated. First, you're going to have to adjust the Yesh and Eyn to either the past or the future forms. Second, you'll adjust the word to the correct gender and quantity it's representing. Third, you'll have to add the word lo when wanting to form a negative phrase. Fourth, you're going to have to adjust the li to correspond with the right person. I know it all sounds quite scary and confusing, but once you get the hang of it, it becomes much easier, I promise. In the past, we will say hayali when speaking about a masculine noun, haytali when speaking about a feminine noun, hayuli when speaking about multiple nouns. When speaking to a man, we would use hayalecha when speaking about having a masculine noun, haytalecha when speaking about having a feminine noun, hayulecha when speaking about having multiple nouns. Same thing is true when speaking to a woman. Hayalach when she had a masculine noun, haytalach when she had a feminine noun, hayulach when she had multiple nouns. And the same goes to the rest of the peoples. Haya, hayta, or hayu. Lo, he had. La, she had. Lanu, we had. Lachem, you guys had. Lachen, you gals had. Lahem, they had, meaning men. Lahen, they had, meaning women. Make sure to simply add the word lo when forming a negative possession. Let's look at some examples. Hayta li mechonit aduma. I had a red car. Notice how the word car is a feminine noun. Hence, I use the word hayta. Even though I am a man, but that doesn't make any difference, as all that counts here is the noun that I'm referring to. Lo haya lo zman etmol. He didn't have any time yesterday. Here, the noun zman, or time, is masculine, which is why I used haya. Hayu lahem klavim pam? Did they used to have dogs once upon a time? Notice how because dogs are in plural, I used hayu. When wanting to construct a similar sentence in the future, the rules and phrase structure will be nearly identical. In the future, we will say, Yihiyeli, when I will have a masculine noun, Tihiyeli, when I will have a feminine noun, Yihiyuli, when I will have multiple nouns. And it will continue according to the person we're speaking about. Yihiye, or Tihiye, or Yihiyu. Lecha, you will have to a man. Lach, you will have to a woman. Lo, he will have. La, she will have. Lanu, we will have. Lachem, you guys will have. Lachen, you gals will have. Lahem, they will have, speaking about men. Lahen, they will have, speaking about women. As before, please make sure to simply add the word lo when forming a negative possession. Let's look at some examples. בשבוע הבא יהיו לי תלמידים חדשים. Next week, I'll have new students. In this sentence, I used yihiyu since there are multiple students I'm speaking about. מחר בערב יהיה לי מחשב חדש. Tomorrow evening, I'll have a new computer. Here, I used יהיה since מחשב, or computer, is a masculine noun. As in the present form of Yesh and Eyn from the previous video, when you'd like to insert someone's name, you'd have two ways to structure the sentence, and you can choose whichever one suits you. There is no difference between the two. The first way of phrasing this sentence would be le someone, haya, hayta, hayu, yihye, tihye, or yihiyu, something. Meaning this person had in the past or will have in the future something. Please make sure to add the letter lamed before the name of the person. In order to turn the phrase into a negative phrase, simply add the word lo. The second option you'd have to phrase a sentence would be as such. Haya, hayta, hayu, yihye, tihye, yihiyu, le, someone, something. As before, this person had in the past or will have in the future something. Here, all I did was change the ordering of the words, but I left all the components of the sentence there. As before, make sure to add the letter lamed before the name of the person. In order to turn the phrase into a negative phrase, simply add the word lo. Let's review some examples. לדייוויד לא היו ילדים. David didn't have any children. לא הייתה לאבי דירה בחיפה. Avi didn't have an apartment in Haifa. יהיו לסיוון זיכרונות יפים מהטיול. Sivan will have nice memories from the trip. Last but not least, let's review a scenario using all the things we've learned today. This scenario continues the one from the previous video. Mayan had her birthday last night and now is making her plans for the rest of the week with her two roommates, Miriam and Daniela. איזו מסיבה טובה הייתה לנו אתמול בערב. What a great party we had last night. בלי העזרה של דניאלה, זה לא היה קורה. Without Daniela's help, this would not have happened. כמה אורחים היו אתמול? מישהי ספרה? How many guests did we have yesterday? Did anyone count? לא יודעת. אני הייתי רוב הזמן במרפסת. I don't know. I was on the balcony most of the time. אני הזמנתי בערך 20, אבל אני חושבת שהיו בערך 50. I invited about 20, but I think there were around 50. תגידו, יש למישהי תוכניות למחר? אני רוצה לנסוע לעיר. Tell me, does anyone here have plans for tomorrow? I want to go into town. אני אהיה באוניברסיטה מחר, ובערב יהיו לי המון שיעורי בית. I will be at the university tomorrow, and in the evening, I'll have a lot of homework. לצערי, לא יהיה לי זמן מחר. אני נוסעת להורים שלי בצפון. Unfortunately, I won't have any time tomorrow. I'm going to my parents up north. ומה עם מחרתיים? מישהי מכן תהיה פנויה? And how about in 2 days from now? Will any one of you be available? כן, אני פנויה. Hey, גם אני. Yes, I'm free. Hey, me too. מעולה. קבענו. Excellent. Scheduled. That is all, guys and girls. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to my channel. Until next time, yada bye.